Ladies and gentlemen, let me say this straight. If your biggest flex right now is your car, phone or clothes, you're not getting rich anytime soon. And yes, I'm talking about BMWs, iPhones, Nikes, all of it. Today I'll tell you 7 things you should never buy if you want to get rich. Not because these brands are bad, because buying them too early keeps you poor. Let's start with the first one. Buying status. A BMW, a Mercedes, an Audi, a Tesla, amazing cars. But if your car payment is bigger than your savings, that's not success, that's pressure with wheels. You sit in traffic, gripping a luxury steering wheel, checking the fuel, checking the EMI date, telling yourself, once I earn more it'll be fine. That later keeps moving. Same story with phones. Apple releases a new iPhone, and suddenly your old one feels embarrassing. Not broken, not slow, just not impressive. People upgrade phones faster than they upgrade skills. They'll finance an iPhone for 3 years, but won't spend 6 months learning something that could change their income forever. I've seen people with no emergency fund, no investments, no clear plan, but AirPods in their ears, Apple Watch on their wrist, latest iPhone in their hand, everything connected except their future. Now clothes, Nike, Adidas, Puma. People wear expensive shoes to jobs they complain about every morning. They dress like CEOs on Instagram and feel like interns in real life. But people who actually get rich do something boring. They delay lifestyle upgrades. They repeat outfits. They drive simple cars. Warren Buffett drove simple cars. Mark Zuckerberg wore the same hoodie, not because they lacked money, because they lacked insecurity. They didn't need applause, they needed progress. Every year companies don't sell products, they sell luxury brands don't sell clothes, they sell you've made it. Car brands don't sell engines, they sell people will respect you now. And people fall for it. Every single time. I once met a guy who told me he was broke. He was wearing Balenciaga shoes, holding the newest iPhone, leaning on a car he couldn't pronounce the model name of, but definitely couldn't afford. I asked him, "What do you do?" He said, "I'm trying to become successful." I said, "You're already spending like you are. That's the problem. So before you buy the next car, the next iPhone, the next pair of shoes, the next lifestyle flex, ask yourself one honest question. Is this making me richer, or just making me look richer? Because the moment you stop buying status, you finally create room to buy freedom. And that's where wealth actually begins. Let me tell you the second thing you must stop buying if you want to get rich. Comfort that replaces effort. This one feels harmless. That's why it's dangerous. Uber Eats, DoorDash, Netflix, Amazon Prime, Spotify, every just $15 per month convenience. Individually, nothing looks expensive. Together, they quietly reprogram your life. Here's how it starts. You're tired after work. You tell yourself, I deserve comfort. So you order food instead of cooking. You binge Netflix instead of learning. You scroll instead of thinking. You pay extra so life doesn't bother you. When everything is easy, nothing pushes you. When food arrives in 10 minutes, you forget how to wait. When entertainment is endless, you forget how to focus. When life becomes convenient, growth becomes optional. And optional growth never happens. Let me say something uncomfortable. Most people aren't poor because life is hard. They're poor because life is they don't build, they binge. And then they wonder why nothing changes. Here's the trap. Comfort feels like self-care, but over time, it becomes self-sabotage. I've seen people who know every Netflix series, every trending show, every viral clip, but have no idea how money actually works. They can name characters, but not skills. They can quote episodes, but not progress. People say, I don't have time. No, you spent it. Successful people understand one simple rule. If something makes life easier today, but harder tomorrow, it's not convenience, it's a trap. That's why you'll notice something strange about people who are moving forward. Their lives look boring from the outside. Simple food, simple routines, less noise. But inside, every dollar you waste on food you could have made is a dollar not working for your future. And the scariest part? You don't even remember what you ate last week, but your bank account remembers everything. Rich people don't ask, what do I feel like eating today? They ask, what am I building? Because when you're building something meaningful, food becomes fuel, not entertainment. So before you order again, before you binge again, before you pay extra to avoid effort, ask yourself one honest thing. Am I buying convenience or am I selling discipline? Because the future belongs to people who can sit with boredom, push through effort, and delay comfort. The third thing you must stop buying if you want to get rich is houses too early. People spend money trying to impress people with houses, apartments, and lifestyles they're not ready for. This is where people confuse looking settled with being successful. You take a home loan because that's what adults do. Now you're not building wealth. You're maintaining an image. Let me be very honest. A house bought too early can be more dangerous than no house at all. There's a reason you hear stories about people like Elon Musk, who for years lived in rented places while building companies worth billions. Not because he couldn't afford a mansion, but because flexibility mattered more than appearance. Jeff Bezos rented modest homes for a long time while Amazon was growing. He didn't rush to look successful. He focused on building something unstoppable. Meanwhile, many normal people do the opposite. They lock themselves into big apartments, high rents, and long mortgages right when their income is still fragile. I've seen people who were financially flexible until they upgraded their living room. Big apartment, nice view, high rent, zero freedom. Now every decision is controlled by bills. Why? Because the house is hungry every month. People love to say renting is wasting money. No. Renting can be buying time if you're smart. Even Warren Buffett still lives in the same modest house he bought decades ago. Not because he needs to, but because he understands something most people miss. A house is a place to live, not a trophy. Buying a house before your income is stable and growing isn't an investment. It's an emotional decision with a long contract. You're not buying a home, you're buying pressure. And here's the irony. The same people who rush into houses early are the same ones who say, I don't have money to invest. Of course you don't. Your walls are eating it. Let me say this clearly. Your house should serve your life, not trap it. If you buy a house to impress relatives, friends, or social media, congratulations, you just became a prisoner with nice curtains. So before you upgrade your living situation, ask yourself one brutal question. Is this giving me freedom or stealing it slowly? Because nobody sees the stress behind the photos. Nobody sees the anxiety behind the big couch. They only see the keys, and keys are cheap compared to freedom. Stop buying lifestyles you haven't earned yet. Build first, show later. Because when you finally buy what you want without pressure, it feels very different. And this lesson, it saves people years of struggle. Let me tell you another way people stay poor. And this one looks very intelligent. They spend money buying knowledge instead of building skills. This is the trap of the almost successful courses, books, workshops, webinars, masterclasses with words like ultimate, secret, proven. People don't learn anymore. They collect. They collect courses like Pokemon cards. Bro, I have the sales course. I also bought the mindset course. I'm thinking of getting the AI course. Let me say something uncomfortable. Information doesn't make you rich. Execution does. You don't need another course, you need to use the last one you bought. I've met people who can explain business better than Jeff Bezos, but can't run a $10 lemonade stand. Here's the funny part. The internet has made information cheap, but courage very expensive. When Elon Musk started, he didn't have a course on how to build SpaceX. When Mark Zuckerberg started, he didn't finish a masterclass called Social Media Domination. They built first, they learned while failing, they embarrassed themselves publicly. Meanwhile, someone today is on video number 47 of a course still getting ready. Let me tell you the biggest lie in self-development. Once I learn a bit more, I'll start. No, you won't, because learning without action becomes addiction. You're watching success, not creating it. Think about people you admire. When they started, they didn't have 20 certificates. They had one skill, an unhealthy obsession. Skill comes from repetition, not inspiration. And here's the real cost of buying knowledge instead of building skill. Time. Money can be earned again. Time cannot. Every month you delay action. Someone less prepared but more courageous passes you. So before you buy another course, ask yourself one honest question. Have I fully applied what I already know? If the answer is no, don't buy anything. Apply, practice, ship something imperfect. Because the world doesn't pay for what you know. It pays for what you can do. Let me tell you another way. People quietly destroy their future. They keep looking for shortcuts. This is the fantasy phase. The phase where people don't want to get rich. They want to skip the process. Crypto tips, signal groups, trading bots, AI tools that print money, DMs that start with bro, this is guaranteed. Everyone suddenly becomes an investor, but nobody wants to build. Let me be honest, if someone actually knew a shortcut to getting rich, they wouldn't be selling it for $49.99 with a countdown timer. They'd be busy using it. But people fall for it because shortcuts feel smart. Hard work feels slow. Building skills feels boring. I've seen people who won't spend 2 years building a real skill, but will spend 2 nights watching videos on how to get rich in 2 weeks. They trust random Telegram groups more than their own discipline. They'll say, traditional business is dead. Jobs are useless. This is the new way. Every generation says that. And every generation has the same result. A few winners, a lot of hopeful losers. Look at people who actually became rich. Warren Buffett didn't get rich from a secret indicator. Jeff Bezos didn't build Amazon from a Telegram signal. Elon Musk didn't wake up one day and say, let me try a new hack. They picked something boring. They stuck with it. They stayed longer than everyone else quit. Shortcuts. Skip the one thing that creates wealth. That's why people who get rich fast often lose it even faster. Let me say this clearly. If something promises money without effort, it's not an opportunity, it's a transfer. Money moves from the impatient to the patient, from the hopeful to the disciplined. So before you join the next group, buy the next bot or follow the next guru, ask yourself one uncomfortable question. Am I trying to build wealth or am I trying to escape the work? Because wealth doesn't come from shortcuts. It comes from choosing a long road and walking it longer than most people can tolerate. That's not exciting, but it works. Let me tell you another way people stay poor. And this one hits close to home. They spend money on the wrong people. Yes, I said it, the wrong friends, the wrong partners, the wrong crowd. They're quietly draining your bank account. It starts small. Coffee here, dinner there, then gifts, trips, expensive outings, even loans you know you'll never get back. All because you want to look good, be liked, or fit in. I once met a young guy who said, I don't have money to start a business. I checked his social media. Every weekend, fancy dinners. Weekend getaways, gadgets gifted to friends. Just because I asked him, why are you spending on people who don't invest in you? He shrugged, they're my friends. Exactly. And that's the problem. The people you try hardest to impress rarely help you, rarely support you, rarely invest back. They're expensive distractions dressed as relationships. Think about it. Some of the richest people you admire don't throw money around just to be liked. They invest in people, not popularity. They spend time and resources where there's growth, not validation. Meanwhile, average people buy loyalty from people who don't even care about their success. Gifts, outings, let me treat you. Loans that disappear, trips that drain your savings, and all the while your future is screaming quietly. Why are you paying for this? Here's the painful truth. Your network matters, but your wallet matters too. If someone consistently costs you more than they contribute, they're not your friend. They're your financial leak. Real wealth isn't just about how much you earn. It's about who you let into your life. So before you spend money, ask yourself, am I giving this to someone who deserves it or someone who just looks fun? Cutting ties with the wrong people doesn't make you mean. It makes you free. Let me tell you the final thing that keeps most people poor. And this one is the sneakiest of all. They spend money on themselves in the wrong way. Yes, you heard me. They spend money thinking they're improving their life, but it's wasted. Expensive clothes to look successful. Overpriced gadgets to feel ahead. Courses they never finish. Trips that impress nobody. Luxury food while ignoring their future. All of it. Gone. Poof. Why? Because they never invest in the right version of themselves. Here's the brutal truth. Your habits, your skills, your mindset. That's your real asset. Spend money on that, and it compounds. Ignore it and no income, no shortcut, no flashy purchase will save you. I've met people with brand new iPhones, Gucci belts and shiny cars, but they can't manage money, can't plan for the future, can't even start a project. They're rich in appearance, poor in capability, and guess what? That fades fast. Real wealth isn't about consumption. It's about investment in the right things at the right time. Want to get rich? Stop paying for instant gratification. Stop paying for validation. Stop paying for magic. Stop buying what looks like success. Start paying for your skills, your education, not the look smart version. The do smart version, your time. The people who get rich quietly, consistently, boringly, they do this every day. They invest in themselves in ways that nobody posts about. Imagine this, instead of a $50 coffee, you spend $50 on a skill that makes you $500 next month. Instead of buying a flashy jacket, you buy a tool that builds your income. Instead of following every shiny shortcut, you take one slow disciplined step forward every day. That's how money multiplies. That's how freedom grows. That's how wealth lasts. Remember all 6 mistakes we talked about. Gadgets, food, status, buying knowledge instead of skills, shortcuts, the wrong people, they all end in the same place. You wasting yourself and your future. But the 7th one, spending on yourself the wrong way, ties them all together. It's the difference between living paycheck to paycheck while dreaming big and quietly, consistently building a life that no one can take away from you. So here's the final message. Stop buying what doesn't serve you. Start investing in what builds you. The rest, it's just noise. Do this consistently and someday people will look at your life and say, wow, how did they get there? And you'll just smile quietly because you already know you didn't buy your way there. You built your way there. Thank you for listening and don't forget to like and subscribe, my friends.